Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum, and welcome to the series In Pursuit of Purpose. In the last episode, we commenced a discussion on seizing the moment and living in the now, living in the present. And this topic is based on the famous hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where the Nabi of Allah says, "Ightanim khamsan qabla khamsin," that appreciate and value and treasure 5 things before 5. And we explained repeatedly that in the world that we live in today, we obsess too much over what happened in the past, and there isn't too much that you can do about what happened in the past. You must just learn from it. We fret too much about what's going to happen in the future. You should plan reasonably for the future, but live in the present. It's the present that can undo the consequences of what happened in the past, and it's the present that can put you in a good position for the future. Then, if you look at the categories that have been outlined, the hadith says, "Ightanim," that seize the moment now, while circumstances are conducive. Of what? "Shababaka qabla haramik," your youth before old age. So whilst we could define youth, in secular terms, maybe you're considered to be a youth until 18 or 21, then you're considered to be an adult, maybe even 16, depending on which legal definition you go by. Islamically, they would say that maturity actually sets in at 40, but part of maturity is after 40, then you start preparing more intensely for your year after. However, generally speaking, any period before the next, so 40 before 50 or 50 before 60, is a period where you're going to be more energetic than at a later period. So therefore, appreciate the energy that you have now, because it's going to diminish. It's part of the cycle of life. Allah says, "Allahu alladhi khalaqakum min da'f." I created you weak. ثم جعل من بعد ضعف قوة. And after weakness I created strength. ثم جعل من بعد قوة ضعفا وشيبة. And after strength, once again you'll become weak. You started off like a baby, you'll end off like a baby. It's the cycle of life. So whilst you're at the up end of that cycle, maximize the opportunity, because inevitably there's going to be a decline. So there's great potential, there's great energy, there's great enthusiasm, there's great scope when you're younger. But there's also greater vulnerability, because the younger you are, the more vulnerable you are to pleasures, to desires, to distractions, to vanity, to succumbing to the hedonistic culture. So the capacity is there, but you're most vulnerable. You've got to protect yourself against the vulnerability and maximize on the capacity. And that's why, if you are successful at that, you are one of the categories of people who will be guaranteed shade under the throne of Allah on the day of Qiyamah. Shabun nasha'a fi ibadatillah. We also said that when you do things, whilst you are able, later on, if you're no longer able, Allah will tell the angels to write the same reward for you, because the intention was there and you have a track record of doing it. If you were able to keep nafil fast when your health was there, if it's no longer there, then Allah will say, write for him the same reward. And people have achieved it at a young age. We spoke about Imam Bukhari achieving at the age of 21. And what's the average 21-year-old up to today? The Western mindset is that during your youth, you want the privileges of an adult, but you don't want the responsibilities of the adult. You don't want to be told, you don't want to be held accountable, but at the same time, you don't want to be responsible. I want to drive, you mustn't ask me where I'm going, you mustn't ask me who I'm going with, you mustn't ask me how fast I was driving, you mustn't ask me why I scratched the car, but hey, you must pay for the fuel. And it must be your car. I'm not willing to buy a car with my money. You must buy me the car that I want with your money. This kind of entitled culture. So there's this raw energy that goes with youth, but it needs to be used constructively. Then the second category which we discussed is صحتك قبل سقمك, your good health before ill health, right? And don't take it for granted that, I'm okay, man, I'm still young. Oh, my family history is good. Hey, I go to the gym. Hey, I eat well. I train. All of that there, right? It's good. You must do all of that. But you don't know what can happen. A rare disease, a rare infection, a rare illness. And I gave the example, you just slip, you break a hand. It's not life-threatening. But for that 6 weeks for you, life is turned upside down. No one is panicking around you. He broke his hand. It should be okay. They put a cast. But for that 6 weeks, you can't drive. For that 6 weeks, you can't eat properly. You can't dress properly. You can't sleep properly. You can't put on your own clothes. You can't shower properly. You can't clean yourself properly in the bathroom. Allah forbid, a sudden accident in the prime of your life and you're rendered a paraplegic. You're rendered immobile. You're now stuck to a bed. So the rat race of life, it compromises your health. You've got to prioritize your health. You've got to prioritize your health. Otherwise, you will compromise your health in the pursuit of wealth and then have to use that same wealth to restore your health. Not taking care of your health, pursuing the world. Now, all that money is going to the doctors and to the specialists and to the topping up of the medical aid and this surcharge and that surcharge and, all those kind of things. So, Sharia has encouraged the preservation of health. Sharia has encouraged the preservation of health. Al-Mu'min al-Qawi. The hadith talks about a strong believer being better and more closer to Allah, although there's goodness in both. And when we talk about health, it's not only physical, it's your mental health, your emotional health. As long as it's better than what it's going to be later, make the most of it. Even your spiritual health. Allah is granting you inspiration, what we call tawfiq, to do something good. They say a good thought is like a visitor. The thought that comes to your mind to do something good is like a visitor. When a visitor comes to your house, you treat him well, he'll come again. But if you ignore him or neglect him, he won't come again. So when a good thought comes to you that, hey, let me perform 2 rakat salah, let me give some charity, that's like a visitor. It's like a visitor. If you treat it well, it will come again. If you don't treat it well, it ain't going to come again. Now the third category, وَغِنَاكَ قَبْلَ فَقْرِكَ, your wealth before poverty. We hear stories about rags to riches, but we also hear stories about riches to rags. It happens. It happens. I mean, there's an earthquake. Everything you own is gone. There's floods. There's riots. There's looting. COVID. Some people came in COVID and made money. People who didn't have money. There was an opportunity to make money. And people who were making money, they lost money as a result of what happened in COVID. So this is not only in regards to the super rich, right? The millionaires and billionaires and those who are on the Forbes list and those who live in exclusive estates and drive fancy cars. All of us are wealthy in relation to those who have less than us. All of us are wealthy in relation to those who have less than us. So appreciate what you have now in terms of wealth, because at a later stage you may have less. And that having less will reduce your capacity, your ability, and the opportunity. So in order to maximize on the wealth that you have now, you've got to be prudent with your finances. You've got to be frugal. You've got to be strategic. You've got to budget. You can't just be spending willy-nilly. You can't just be busting the money because it's there to be busted. No. If you're going to do that, you're going to have a challenge. There are so many stories of like this. They say easy come, easy go. Comes quickly, goes quickly. People hit it big time. By the age of 25, he's a millionaire. By the age of 35, he's bankrupt. And now he can't recover from that because he's trying to repeat what he did in the initial part of his life and it's not working. He wants that quick fix. He wants that quick fix. And we would know about examples like this, of people like this. So, they say that invest in that which will pay dividend in the long run. So when you make some money, you don't go and buy a flashy car. It depreciates the moment you drive it out of the showroom. It's considered to be a demo model if it's got a couple of kilometers on the clock. Rather invest in a house, so you don't have to pay rent. So you've got that solace that at least now the house is sorted out. Today we live in an era where it's all about the bling culture. It's consumerism. Spend on this, spend on that. Oh, that person is spending more. That person is doing more. That person is going there for coffee. That person is going to eat there. That person went for holiday there. That person is wearing this brand. That person is doing this. And you're chasing your tail, really. You'll never be satisfied. You'll never be happy. You'll never be content. And inevitably, you're going to get yourself into financial trouble. You're going to spend to keep up with the Jonases. You're going to spend to keep up with the Jonases. And that can never be helpful for you. That can never be helpful for you. So invest in your future, so that when your physical ability to earn starts to diminish, when opportunities are no longer there. Some people made money in a period when a particular market or sector was booming. Then later on, it kind of equaled out, plateaued. But they made the money and they invest well. They didn't say, oh, once I got it, make hay while the sun shine. Yeah, make hay while the sun shine in terms of making the money, not spending the money. Now you spend. All of a sudden the market takes a dip. All of a sudden that product now is coming from overseas and it's much cheaper. Oh, now you're in a panic. You've got no reserves. You've got no hard assets. And now you're like, oh, what do I do? What do? You blame the markets. You did not manage your finances in a way that you ought to have managed it. The greatest investment that you can do is charity. أيكم مال وارثه أحب إليه من ماله. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, who loves the wealth of his inheritors more than his own wealth? Some Sahaba said, no, we all love our own wealth. They said, your own wealth is that which you have invested by giving in charity. The rest, you got it now, but your children are going to use it and squander it. They don't have the same appreciation for that wealth that you have because they didn't work for it. That's why family businesses, they say on average by the third generation kind of fizzles out. It kinds of fizzles out. We've got to make the important distinction between needs and wants. We can't buy everything we want. We must focus on what we need. Today, the environment is so toxic. The advertising, the algorithms. You and your spouse are sitting and talking about a particular product. Next minute on your phone, those adverts pop up on every website and they show it to you from different angles. You just say, maybe we must go for Umrah. By the next day, buy flight adverts and hotel adverts for every other destination in the world. Wealth is not a problem in itself. It's neutral. It's about how you utilize the wealth or don't utilize the wealth. Think about how Uthman radiallahu anh utilized this wealth. Till today, you've got the waqf of Uthman that you can see in Madinatul Munawwara. Think about the hadith that we discussed in the last discussion. Live to serve humanity. Anfa'uhum linnas, to be of the most of benefit to others. Use your wealth to be of benefit to others. Then you can say you are seizing the moment. Time for a break. Welcome back. So we are discussing the hadith اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس, that appreciate 5 before 5. The topic is seizing the moment, living in the present, as part of the series In Pursuit of Purpose. And prior to the break, we were discussing your wealth before poverty. And even if you don't consider yourself rich, you are richer in relation to the person who has less than you. You are richer in relation to when you have less later down the line. And you don't know how circumstances can change. Never take it for granted. We know what happened in Burma. As a collective, we know what happened to individuals. They were in a flourishing business and then COVID happened. Others sprung up from nowhere during COVID and others just tanked during COVID. So be prudent with your finances. Invest in your real future, which is through charity. Avoid the bling culture. Avoid just feeding your wants. Focus more on your needs. You'll never achieve happiness through material acquisitions. You'll suffer from the next syndrome, like we discussed when we were talking about happiness. You'll think in the next purchase, in the next purchase, in the next purchase, and you'll just be chasing your shadow. But look at Uthman radiallahu anh. Allah blessed him with wealth and how he utilized that wealth. People who, when there was a boom in their market, they made enough money. Later on, when it plateaued, they were comfortable for the rest of their lives. They were able to set up a few generations to come. Then the next, right from the 5, the 4th, وَفَرَاغَكَ قَبْلَ شُغْلِكَ, your free time before occupation. There's a hadith which Abdullah ibn Mubarak rahimahullah has commenced his one famous compilation with. Ni'matan. Allah says, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says there are 2 bounties. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam singles out 2 bounties from the innumerable bounties of Allah. مَغْبُونٌ فِيهِمَا كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ. Why does he single out it? Because the majority of people are in deception with regards to these bounties. What are they? As-sihha, good health, and al-faragh, time and opportunity. So this is what we're talking about. Good health we spoke about. Time and opportunity is what we are speaking about. They say 1/3 of your life you spend sleeping. 1/3 of your life you spend on mundane activities. When we spoke about niyyah, we said that if you do it with the right intention, it can become reward. But in terms of actual action, how much time is left if you live on average life of 65? Some almost 40 years are gone in eating, drinking, socializing, sleeping. So you've got a short period. Time is life. Every second that passes is a second that's passing away. So you've got to guard against squandering your currency. And that is time. Time is the currency of life. And Allah has given us time as the currency of life to use to invest in the akhirah. So a second squandered now is a second that we have squandered as an opportunity to invest in the everlasting life of the year after. Because the more you value time, the more you will have barakah in time. That's the amazing thing. Even in the world that we live in today, we tend to think it's only the people who lived in the best of times, in the khairul qurun, who have barakah in their time. No. Even those who live in the worst of times, who live in this era, almost 15 centuries after Hijrah, there are still people who have a lot of barakah in their time. It's because they value time. The more you value time, the more you guard your time, the more you manage your time properly, the more Allah will put barakah in your time. Imam Ghazali has said, rahimahullah, there are three categories of activities. The one category is there's some benefit to it, either worldly or religious or both. The second category is that it's useless or harmful, right? And the third category is it's neither harmful nor beneficial. So when it comes to the first category, where there's some benefit, either worldly or religious, pursue it. When it comes to the second category, it's useless or it's harmful, shun it. And when it comes to the third category, that is neither beneficial nor harmful, shun it as well. Because it's frivolous. It's something that you should not be spending your time and energies on. So more than managing your time, you need to manage yourself. When you manage yourself, your time will be taken care of. More than managing your time, you need to manage yourself. When you manage yourself, then your time will be taken care of. You see, one day a disciple went to his sheikh, he went to his mentor, and he said to him that, tell me who is a saint. Show me a saint. I want to see what a saint looks like. So the sheikh said to him, go to that masjid and you'll find a person occupied in the worship of Allah, and come up from behind him and smack him from the back. Just give him one, what we would say in Afrikaans, a warme klap. Give it to him. And then see how he responds, and then you come back and tell me whether you think he's a saint or not. It was a strange kind of instruction that the sheikh, the mentor, gave the murid. So the murid said, hey, you know what, I don't know what he's trying to achieve here, what he's trying to do with this, but let's go. I mean, I asked the question, he gave me the answer, and I've got to follow it through. So he went to this masjid, and indeed he saw the saint sitting and worshipping Allah, facing Qibla. He came up from behind and gave him that warme klap, the tight slap. There was a slight movement of his body, and then he stopped himself and he paused for like a second and then continued with his worship. So this man thought, oh, if somebody came from behind and smacked me, I would have turned around and fisted him and then followed it up with a couple of karate kicks and taught him a lesson. I mean, how dare he? I'm minding my own business, I'm doing nothing. And he comes up from behind and smacks me. And this man does nothing, doesn't even look back. He just moves slightly, paused for a moment, and then carried on with his worship. Later on, when he got the opportunity, he asked the saint, when the saint had concluded his worship, that my mentor, my sheikh, told me to come and do this, so I did it. But now can you explain to me? You didn't even look back. He said, see, when you hit me, that the natural physical reaction was to look. I started moving the direction, and I stopped myself and I paused and I said, listen, somebody has hit me. I don't know why. If I look back, I'm going to see who it is. Then my temperature is going to rise. I'm going to get angry. I will want to retaliate and take revenge. He'll probably hit me back. His family would get involved. Too messy. Too much of time wasting. Too distracting. Let me focus on my job at hand. Life is short. We normally say life is short. Do what you need to do to fulfill your desires. Yeah, he's saying life is short. Leave all the distractions out and focus on the ibadah and the worship of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. The same with technology, right? Make the gadget work for you. Don't work for the gadget. Make the gadget work for you. Don't become a slave of the gadget. The gadget must remain your slave. Because when you have the opportunity now, later on, you won't have the opportunity. So seize the moment. Seize the moment. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah used to say, time is a sword. If you don't cut with it, it will cut you. Imam Nawawi used to say, he used to tell people who invited him for meals, that listen, in your house, give me a separate room. Because I know how it is. You've invited a few people, when this one comes, that one is a bit late, some chit-chat. I got no time for that. I'll sit in that room and continue with my work. When the food is ready, then you call me. Imam Jarir Tabari wrote so many books in his life that they say when they averaged it out at the end, it was 18 pages per day. I mean, to write 18 pages And then if you take away the childhood and you take away the student days, it comes to about 40 pages per day. Now you say, wow, man, how can someone write so much in such a space of time? Ibn al-Jawzi studied 20,000 books in his life. 20,000 books in his life. So seize the moment. Seize the moment. They say to realize the value of 1 year, ask a student who has failed a grade. To realize the value of 1 month, ask a mother who has given birth to a premature baby. To realize the value of 1 week, ask an editor of a weekly newspaper. To realize the value of 1 day, ask a daily wage laborer who has kids to feed. To realize the value of 1 hour, ask the bride who is waiting to meet her groom. To realize the value of 1 minute, ask the person who has missed the train. To realize the value of 1 second, ask the person who has avoided an accident. And to realize the value of 1 millisecond, ask the person who won a silver medal in the Olympics. So time is not wasted in hours, but it's wasted in minutes and seconds. A bucket with a small hole at the bottom will get as empty as one that is kicked over eventually, right? Eventually. So take care of the minutes and the hours will take care of themselves. And eventually then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, وَحَيَاتَكَ قَبْلَ مَوْتِكَ, that appreciate your life before your death. We spoke right up front. حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءَ أَحَدَهُمُ الْمَوْتِ, when death comes to any one of you, they'll say, Wallah, second chance. Allah say, no, no second chance. And even if they had to be a second chance, you would repeat the same mistakes. So you've got to get it right the first time. You've got to get it right the first time. Because إِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهُمْ إِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهُمْ, when the time, the appointed time comes, when Malakul Maut is there, he doesn't cut you any slack. He doesn't say, all right, I'll give you 5 minutes. You say, I live for 65 and give me 5 minutes. I just want to ask Maaf there. I just want to tell them where the money is. I want to tell them. لا يستأخرون ساعة. Not a moment delay. ولا يستقدمون. Not a moment before time. Bang on time. Today we have clocks that are, linked to satellites. It's spot on to the second. Well, Malakul Maut has been working spot on to the second. And in that last second, your whole life will flash in front of your eyes. But how you live is how you die. And how you die is how you'll be resurrected. If you lived your life valuing time, then the last second of your life will be most valuable. And then you will be resurrected, inshallah, in a good state. We make dua to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala that He grants us the ability to appreciate all of these 5 things and to optimize it whilst we can. We'll leave it there for today's episode. I think we've covered quite a bit of ground, alhamdulillah, so far in the series, In Pursuit of Purpose. But there's still more to come, and we look forward to the coming episodes. May Allah grant us all the tawfiq of making amal. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.